Yesterday we discussed on up to the data mining and data warehousing. So today I will describe about big data analytics. So first, just have a look at the definition that big data analytics is the process of examining large data sets to uncover hidden patterns, unknown correlations, market trends, customer preferences, and other useful business information. And it is here actually these things, the following things are done: predictive analysis, text analysis, data mining, and statistical analysis. So basically, big data analytics is nothing. It's just like the earlier same thing, that you will have a huge amount of data, and from the data you will have to identify the hidden pattern, the trend, or the customer preferences, or some correlations, and you will be doing these things based on some statistical analysis. Okay, so big data analytics will be dealing with all these things, but there are some particular nature of big data by means of which you can uh, term it as big data. For example, this is some characteristics of the big data: volume, velocity, variety, value, and variability. Okay, volume, velocity, variety, value, and variability. So volume, you can understand that you know uh, large volume of data. This is one of the characteristics of the big data. Okay, then another is uh, variety. Okay, variety means there can be different type of there can be different type of uh, actually different types of data which are known as the variety. Okay, and there can be also the velocity. Basically they are actually termed as, there are four V's. These are known as four V's: volume, variety, velocity, and uh, veracity. Okay, and veracity actually, value or variability, and or veracity. So what are those things? Volume, and velocity means the speed of generation of data or the rate of analysis. Variety means unstructured, semi-structured, or structured. Okay, and veracity means untrusted or uncleansed data. That means the uncertainty of it deals with basically the uncertainty of data. So these are some of the points of four V's which are extremely important. And and there can be also several other kind of V's. You will find some 7 V's, or suppose 14 V's. A lot of V's, a lot of researchers they have proposed, but actually the 4 V's are the basic things of it. Okay, the 4 V's are the actually very basic in nature. So now I am going to show you one example of the uh, big data analytics. I will not show any the typical method of that how to conduct the big data analytics, because it particularly depends upon different statistical analysis. Okay, it depends upon different statistical analysis. So it depends upon that particular statistical analysis or that particular problem statement which you are dealing with. So just in a nutshell, I would like to show you one example. Here you can see that in this graph was drawn from single cell RNA sequence. There were about 10,000 transcribed genes in each cell. So in each cell, you will have the information of 10,000 transcribed genes. And in this particular graph, you can see that each dot represents a single cell and its transcription profile. The general idea is that cells with similar transcription should form a particular cluster. Okay, and you can see here that one statistical analysis method is called PCA, or principal component analysis. Okay, so the researchers, they have applied analysts, they have implemented this method called principal component analysis, and they have formulated some cluster of data. Okay, you can see that blood cell and neural cells, dermal or epidermal cells, and pluripotent cells. So they have made some clusters. How does transcription from 10,000 genes get compressed to a single dot on a graph? PCA is a method for compressing a lot of data into something that captures the essence of the original data. Okay, because each data, each particular point, they which have the 10,000 transcribed genes. Okay, so you can understand that in the each data, if you want to show it in with the help of 10,000 transcribed gene for a particular cell, okay, then you can understand that you need a graph of 10,000 D, okay, or 10,000 dimensions. But instead of 10,000 dimensions, you have only two dimensions, PC1 and PC2, principal component 1 and principal component 2. So you are expressing, so basically principal component analysis is a data reduction technique. So using that particular data reduction technique, you are compressing these 10,000 dimensions into, you are reflecting it or representing it only 2D, principal component 1 and principal component 2. Okay, so 10,000 transcribed genes you are expressing in terms of PC1 and PC2. And based on that, you are basically formulating these clusters. Okay, you can understand that these are reflecting particular some cells. Okay, so this is a particular this is a method of big data. So what is the benefit of that? The benefit is of applying this kind of technique is that from a huge amount of data, you can formulate the cluster. Okay, some cluster you can formulate, and you can also understand the behavioral pattern of those clusters. Okay, and accordingly you can formulate your business policy. So that is the advantage of applying the big data analytics. That is the main function of big data analytics. But it's not necessarily that always you need to implement the principal component analysis, but also you can also apply some other statistical techniques are there. Those things also you can apply. Okay. Now we will go through different analysis method, statistical analysis method in this particular course. Now, what is real-time systems? In the previous class, I discussed a little bit about the real-time systems. Okay, a real-time system is one that processes information and produces a response within a specified time, else risk severe consequences, sometimes including failure. Telecommunication systems, anti-lock brakes in a car, anti-traffic control system, weather forecasting system. So just like these things, these are actually implemented. So real-time analytics of big data: calculate, transform, process, and augment. So what happens? The real-time analytics, the characteristics is that here actually you suppose you have a huge amount of data and the data is continuously varying. I have previously given you, told you that the stock market data, okay, continuously those are varying. So based on that, suppose if you want to do some analytics, that is known as the real-time system. In this particular case, you will get the values of the response variable and the values of the response variable, and it will be also continuously monitored. It will be also continuously changing, and based on that also your decision making policy might be changed based on the real-time analytics. Okay, so challenges but there are also some challenges of real-time analytics. It is expensive, complex architecture or batch processing, semi and unstructured data, market too dynamic to predict, scalability. So these are actually the problem with the real-time data analytics, because you don't go for a fixed kind of policy, okay, and continuously you need to change the policy, which actually incur huge amount of financial investment, and that's why it becomes also very expensive, because the first thing is that you need to implement the scenario of the real-time analytics or that kind of platform, and also you need to take action against it, actions accordingly. Okay, so it becomes expensive as well. Now I will discuss about the blockchain technology. Okay, this is a very latest trendy thing, and it is also very important to know or to understand, because nowadays blockchain technology is not very popular in India, but in the near future you will see that blockchain technology will be very demanding. Okay, a blockchain is simply database but distributed across the network internet. Everyone has a copy. Auto signed, every copy is the same almost instantly. No transaction can be deleted. Commonly open and public, everyone authorized can add. And currently very slow throughput, very low capacity. Blockchain technology is otherwise known as distributed ledger technology, or DLT. Here you can see some blocks. Okay, now let's take a look at some other uh, definitions. Okay, what is blockchain technology? A growing number of leaders in the healthcare industry are looking to blockchain technology as a means of increasing the accessibility and the interoperability of medical information. First used to record trades of the online cryptocurrency Bitcoin, blockchain technology documents online transaction while ensuring that those transactions are secure, encrypts each piece of information or block contained in its record with a string of number and letters. This unique code can be checked to confirm the validity of the data contained in its corresponding block. It also serves as documentation of the block's history, changing each time its contents are edited or accessed without permission. Information stored using blockchain technology can be retrieved by many computers on a single network without the use of an expensive central database. Okay. Now take a look at some benefits, blockchain benefits. So budget, security, velocity, globalization, and irreversibility. So first, if you have a look at the budget, it reduced cost of transaction uninfluenced by your localization. In terms of security, improved security and efficiency, cryptography makes it impossible to break scheme. Now, velocity, transactions are worked on almost instantly and confirmed within minutes. Globalization, computers are indifferent of your localization. Irreversibility, after confirmation a transaction cannot be reversed by anyone. Okay, so these are the some of the benefits of blockchain technology. Now how it works, a roadmap. So step 1, a transaction is requested, it means sending money. Step 2, transaction is broadcasted to network. Step 3, network is validating the transaction using cryptography. Step 4, transaction is represented online as a block. Step 5, block is added to the existing blockchain. And step 6 is the transaction is complete. Okay, so these are the basic steps of the blockchain technology. And cryptography means actually it is actually the art of writing or solving the codes. Okay, that is actually known as the cryptography. So what happens basically in blockchain technology and why it is required? So in order to make the idea clear, first you should understand that blockchain technology basically used to prevent corruption. Firstly, it was actually implemented in case of the financial transaction, because many a times it happens that in a particular supply chain line, some transactions have been made by some party, but actually everybody or along the supply chain, everybody is not aware about the fact that this transaction has been made. So accordingly, the decisions cannot be taken, and also there are some miscommunication arises, and also the a lot of fraud type of things actually occur, and also you will have uh, uh, you know uh, people actually they sometimes they deny the fact that there have been made any transaction. Okay, so basically corruption takes place. Okay, so there are two things that are very important. One thing is that you need to prevent the corruption using the blockchain technology, and the second benefit is the very important benefit, that is very promptly the actions will be taken. Okay, and it was first implemented in the case of financial transaction or financial supply chain. Okay, suppose how a blockchain works, you can take a look at this diagram. A wants to send money to B, suppose. Okay, so the transaction is actually will be represented online as a block. The block is broadcast to every party in the network. So along the network or along the supply chain, everybody will come to know about the uh, uh, they will everybody will come to know about the fact, okay, that A wants to send money to B. Those in the network approve the transaction is valid. Okay, and then the block then can be added to the chain, which provides an indelible and transparent record of the transaction. The money moves from A to B. So in this case, you can see that along the network or along the supply chain, the entire transaction process is very transparent in nature. Okay, the entire transaction process, it is very it is very transparent in nature. So that's why it is it is it, this is a huge advantage of this. Okay, so this is one thing. And mm, so basically you can say that this is a huge advantage through the use of the uh, use of the Bitcoin. Okay, Bitcoin, now you can ask that what is Bitcoin? So Bitcoin is basically nothing. It is a computer file which is stored in a digital wallet app, okay, on a smartphone or computer. So Bitcoin is basically nothing but it's kind of digital wallet. So that is actually known as the Bitcoin. Now, one very interesting thing to be noted, that the concept of this blockchain technology, okay, the concept of the blockchain technology, it can be also implemented in many social applications. I don't know whether it can be, you can use the term as the blockchain technology or not, but whatever term you use, that is not a main factor. The main factor is that the concept can be used also in many cases. Okay, for example, I would like to give an example. Suppose the hospital's grievance redressal system. Okay, you have seen that when you will visit a hospital, naturally there you will see a box, grievance redressal system, redressal box will you will find there. Now, if you have any complaint about the hospital, you need to write a letter or you need to collect the form from the office or the HR section, and you will fill up the form and you will submit it to the that particular box. Okay, but that this particular process does not ensure that whether your complaint, if it is valid or if it is really appreciable, then the hospital authority will take action against it. Okay, because there is no pressure, nobody is pressurizing the hospital authority regarding that, and you also don't have any idea regarding the progress about the action against your complaint. Okay, whether hospital authority has noticed it and rejected it, or whether the hospital authority has never not noticed it at all, or whether hospital authority has noticed it, accepted the problem, but does not uh, take care about the, or whether has not taken any action. So what is the status of your grievance, that you cannot understand. Okay, that is one particular problem. Now, suppose if you can make such a system where an online based grievance redressal system, where suppose if you want to make a complaint, then you will lodge a complaint, and that will be shared by all the parties of the network or the throughout the supply chain, right from the hospital authority to the local MP or MLA, to up to very higher level, or I mean the ministry level. Okay, if you can make such a system, you will see that everybody, whenever you are making a complaint, everybody along the chain, they can see it. Okay, so automatically the hospital authority will feel pressure, and hospital authority, it is expected that the hospital authority will be compelled to take proper action against the problem, because it is being shared by everyone up to the ministry. So some particular some of the stakeholders, okay, in the along the supply chain, they must notice the problem. Okay, so that's why the pressure will automatically come to the hospital authority, and they will it is expected that they will try to solve the problem, because unless they solve the problem, they will again get pressure from their higher authorities. Okay, so, and in that case, you will also come to know about that whether the what is the status of your complaint, whether the hospital authority has rejected the problem, do not admit the problem at all, or whether they have admitted it, or and they are taking care of the problem. Okay, or they have admitted the problem, but they are not uh, taking care of the problem. So the status also you can come to know about it. Okay, so these are some advantages of using similar sort of, I don't know whether it should be termed as blockchain or not, but this is somewhat similar to the blockchain technology, okay, that you can use this. So this kind of concept is very, very useful because it is very transparent in nature, and the corruption can be prevented. And once you enter the data, once the block is generated, once the digital transformation is recorded, it cannot be deleted by any party. Okay, so everything will be very transparent in nature. And the example that I give there, you can give a lot of options. Like for example, the who is making the complaint. Suppose if you are making the complaint, so the complaint maker, they can lodge their complaints also anonymously, okay, so that nobody can identify that who is lodging the complaint. So there can be also this kind of option can be given there in the system. Okay, so that will be good. Okay, if suppose you just have a you just think about the options that is given by the Facebook nowadays. Okay, earlier there was no option of locking your profile, but nowadays there is option. It is optional, it is not mandatory. You may lock it or may not. It is it depends upon absolutely you, that whether you will lock your profile or not. Okay, so that kind of options also can be given here, that whether it will be anonymous or not. You can choose the option that whether you need to show your name, or you need you would like to lodge the complaint anonymously. Okay, so now we will take a look at another idea that is known as the GIS. Okay, GIS. What is GIS? GIS means it is actually Geographic Information System. GIS is a computer system capable of assembling, storing, manipulating, and displaying geographically referenced information. It means data identified according to their location. A GIS is an organized collection of computer hardware, software, geographic data, and personnel efficiently capture, store, update, manipulate, analyze, and display all forms of geographically referenced information. Okay, in IIT Kharagpur, lot of works are going on based on GIS. Okay, and you will find that lot of based on the geographic, a lot of companies are also, industries are also working on it, and based on the geographic information system, lot of solutions have been made. Okay, like the suppose for example, the in case of electricity line distribution, so a lot of problems have been solved. First, take a look at the components of the GIS. Hardware means computer system, scanner, printer, plotter, flat board, like this. Software, GIS software is used are like this software: Map Info, Arc Info, AutoCAD Map, etc. The software available can be set to the application specific. Data, a GIS will integrate spatial data with other data resources and can even use a DBMS or database management system used by most organizations to maintain their data to manage spatial data. Geographic data and related tabular data can be collected in-house or purchased from a commercial data provider. People, GIS users range from technical specialists who design and maintain. Method, the map creation can either be automated faster to vector creator, or it can be manually victories using the scanned images. I will give you the later on the example. Now take a look at the functions: data capture, data storage, data manipulation, query and analysis, visualization. Data capture, the input of data into a GIS can be achieved through many different methods of gathering. For example, aerial geography, scanning, digitizing, GPS or global positioning system is just a few of the ways a GIS user could obtain data. Data storage, some data is stored such as a map in a drawer, while others such as digital data can be as a hard copy stored on CD or on your hard drive. Data manipulation, the digital geographical data can be edited. This allows for many attributes to be added, edited or deleted to the specification of the project. Query and analysis, GIS was used widely in decision making processes for the new commission districts. We use population data to help establish an equal representation of population to area for which district. Visualization, this represents the ability to display your data, your maps and information. Okay, here is the complete example. You can see that the data source, so street data, you can see here that there's street data, from where to where the street data you can gather. Then you can see that the buildings data, where the buildings are there, those data you can get. Then the vegetation data, so where there is the vegetations are there, so these data you can get. Then the next task is integrated data, so you can integrate data. So with the help of the geographic information system, what you can do, you can get a lot of data layer by layer. Okay, you can get data from layer by layer. You can get different data you can get. Okay, for different variables you can have different data, and finally you are able to integrate all the data to have a holistic picture. Okay, because this holistic picture will enable in decision making. Suppose you want to have the electricity line, from where to where you need to make the electricity line. Suppose in the hill region you want to install, suppose for particular some transmission line. Okay, so from where to where you need to fix the transmission particular line, that you can take decision based on these particular integrated data, which is actually based on which uses the geographic information system. Okay, so typical GIS applications are census and demographic data analysis, market analysis, land use or parcel mapping, network analysis like transportation, telecommunications, site location modeling, distribution, logistics, and supply chain management. Okay, this is not required. So these are the some of the basic concepts. Okay, that I described. Okay, so these are not very exhaustive examples, because exhaustive examples are not possible at this point of time. It is only possible when you will carry out, or when you will follow the statistical analysis part, when we will complete. Okay, now there are some very interesting questions that I will tell you, which are very often asked in the interview. Okay, one particular question is that is very frequently asked, that what is the difference between the statistics and analytics? Or suppose, for example, what is the difference between yes, what is the difference between statistics and machine learning? What is the difference? See, whenever you must understand, many a times we use the word called analytics, data analytics, or business analytics, or whatever it is. Okay, analytics. Okay, you should keep in mind that analytics, whenever we are using the term analytics basically it is a part of statistics, but statistics is a very huge area. Okay, but analytics is a particular part of statistics. Same thing for the machine learning. Okay,
whenever you will use the term called the machine learning, actually the difference is in terms of the application. Okay, suppose if you think about the hypothesis testing, what is the relationship between the one particular variable with another other variable? What is the relationship between them? Okay, so this does not come under, this definitely comes under statistics, but this doesn't come under the machine learning process. Okay, but whenever you are implementing the term the machine learning actually involves some particular statistical analysis or some particular statistical method which you are feeding into the in the form of coding to the software or the app. Okay, suppose you have developed one particular software, okay, which can suppose which can predict the future data based on uh, simple linear regression. Okay, you have suppose developed one particular software like this. Okay, so this is absolutely based on the machine learning. Okay, now the coding that you have made, you made the coding based on simple linear regression. But if you put such data that do not exhibit the linear relationship, in that case the results that you will generate, that will be incorrect or that will not be accurate. Okay, because you have already assumed linear relationship and based on that you have done the programming. Okay, so sometimes it happens that suppose the complicated, the very expensive softwares, they what they can do, if you put some data, okay, they can automatically uh, 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 grab, or they can automatically detect the kind of data that you have given, what kind of uh, relation between the dependent variable or the independent variable, what kind of relation it exhibits. Okay, whether it is quadratic relationship or linear relationship or any kind of relationship that they can they can understand. Okay, and accordingly that you can also calculate accordingly that the program will be automatically generated, and sorry, the accordingly it will choose the particular program, and automatically it will give the results based on linear regression or any kind of or the particular type of non-linear regression. Okay, so these kinds of things you will be there, you will find there in case of machine learning technique. That means in case of machine learning, it is based on some particular coding, and the coding is based on a particular type of statistical analysis. Okay, this is all about machine learning. But the relationship of the variables or these kinds of things, basically usually it is not actually accessed. It obviously it can be done with the machine learning, I'm not saying it cannot be done, but usually the companies that they use the machine learning techniques, those they in that case they do not do these kind of relationships and all those things. Okay, they basically use machine learning method for forecasting purpose. Okay, which is based on suppose particular some regression purpose, and basically they use to form the clustering method, and clustering method is also, it is applicable for matching the data. Okay, for suppose the signature matching. Okay, in that particular cases also the clustering method, it is also there. Okay, so basically the machine learning method or these kinds of most of the activities are carried out based on the clustering or the pattern of the data, identifying the data. Okay, the clustering method, and the another purpose is the forecasting method. For these particular reasons, the data, the machine learning thing is there. But statistics is a huge, vast portion. Machine learning is just a part of the statistics. Okay, or similar in case of analytics also the same thing. Okay, so it is there. Now this is one question, and now another question is it is a very important. It is also asked that what is the difference between statistics, okay, or suppose statistics and operations research. Okay, this question is also asked, okay, many times. Or you may also ask, maybe asked that what is the difference between analytics and operations research. Okay, so in case of statistics and also in case of analytics, okay, in all these cases we are much more interested to know about the results rather than designing the system. Okay, but in case of operations research, we are basically much more interested to design a particular system. So operations research is more oriented to allocation of resources, proper management of resources through allocation. This basically operations research deals with. For example, I'd just like to give a very very small example so that everybody can understand. Suppose, for example, you are 4 students are there. Okay, and suppose there are 4 programs are there, 4 languages are there. So suppose, for example, C is there, C++ is there, Java is there, Python is there. Okay, now you need to do a particular program, and you can use any language, C, C++, or Java, or Python, whatever it is. Okay, now suppose some particular, suppose 4 students, Tom, Dick, Harry, and Ram. So Tom takes a particular time to complete a particular language for that program. Dick takes another time. Harry takes another time. Ram takes another time, like this. Okay. So you will get a matrix of 16 data points. Okay. You can understand that 16 data points you will get, by means of which each and every cell will represent that for carrying out that particular task. Okay. So how much time is required by which particular person? Okay. Now suppose your objective is to minimize the time. Okay. For doing that particular program through different, for through different for different for all the
Sir, your voice is not audible.
Yes. Hello. Am I audible now?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So ultimately, you will be able to understand that which particular person to be assigned which particular language. Okay. Suppose Ram has been assigned C language, or Tom has been assigned, suppose Java. Okay. So in this way, which particular person to be assigned which particular language, that you will be able to know. So this is a kind of allocation or assignment problem. So basically, you in operations research, it is seen that which particular person need to be assigned which particular task, or suppose which particular workstation needs to be given how much amount of capacity. Okay, so it deals with all everything assignment and allocation. Okay, but so it completely deals with designing the particular system. But statistics is not more focused on the designing the system, rather it more focuses on the result part. And similar in case of analytics, what will be the forecast for the next period? Okay, it basically focuses on the result part. These are very some two very interesting questions, queries. Now I am going to stop the presentation, stop the recording.